on, everybody? Welcome back to our channel. It's your girl Bex.
And I'm Carly.
And we're here to deliver content to unlock your mindset and actions to be limitless. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And like we always say, ring the bell notification so you can be notified when we're dropping videos just like this.
Cool. So this week, as we all know in the UK, we have an issue with drivers, which has caused people to go crazy, panic buying fuel when there's plenty of fuel to go around. But yeah, so we thought, as we like to talk about women, like underrepresented minorities, this particular we're going to cover women in the trucking industry. And we know in the UK there is a massive driver shortage, but it's not just the UK. It is a global shortage of drivers. And what we're seeing is a lot of companies are bringing in incentives and initiatives because there's a big opportunity for them to close that gap by hiring more women.
Absolutely. And it's a key one as well because it is a male dominated industry.
Very much.
But one person said, like, the steering wheel doesn't know any gender, right? And it doesn't really care what gender is at the wheel. So it's definitely an industry that potentially could be looked into. I know there are some pitfalls of the trucking industry, but there's also some great benefits from being in that industry as well.
Definitely. And I was reading Business Insider, and they were actually showing female truckers making six figures in the US. And there was a specific lady called Ingrid Brown, and she's been trucking for years and years. And she said when she first started, she only knew about 5 other women. But she was saying also in America, married what they call teens, they can make over 200 grand. And they're trying to recruit a lot more women. They're offering bonuses, scholarships, all due to the labor shortages. And in the US, they're saying they'll have a shortage of 100,000 drivers by 2023, which a lot of recruiters are hoping women will fill the gap. And as you said, it's a man's world and a man's job. But what was nice about what Ingrid said, especially given how long she's been doing it, she said she's never personally experienced sexism or harassment by men, but she knows a lot of women who have. And I think I was watching a particular video in the UK where a lady, she was asked a similar question and she said, yes, you get it all the time. They'll look at what you're wearing, what you look like. And it's just, yeah, typical sort of stories that you hear quite often. One of the things they do a lot in the US is what they have is teams, and they specifically target married couples because it allows them to be able to drive longer distances because one can drive while the other sleeps. It's more common in America, I'd say, because of how huge it is, and they are driving such vast distances. It is often they are on the road for longer and don't get to come home, whereas in the UK, a lot of the time, because it's so much smaller, maybe you might stay over one night, but that can be it. And a lot of times you can get there and back in one trip. And I know something we have at work is we have specific programs which target to make sure the driver gets home the same day for that very reason.
But then obviously we do have team drivers though, because I have seen that as well. So that's when it's more going into like cross borders type stuff. Another lady, she drives to a Wincanton. And she's part of 1% of women, so they have about 4,000 drivers and only 1% is women. Compare that to, I know that's only one company, but compare that to in America, it's actually 6.7% of women. But going back to the part of like it being a male dominated role or industry, she was actually saying that she hasn't experienced any type of sexism or anything that. In fact, they've been nothing but helpful and really trying to make sure that she feels welcomed and fits in and stuff. So I thought that was pretty cool as well. But there are some pitfalls, like we said, one of them being the cost to enter, like the fees is quite a lot.
They are crazy. Yeah, I've seen some different amounts. I think North America 3.5 to 10k in places, and I think UK, I think it ranges up to a few. It's a few grand anyway. It's not cheap.
No, and that's what they're saying about like not just women getting involved, but also young drivers. It's just that they genuinely can't afford it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think in the UK or somewhere they've started to scrap the fees because of the apprenticeship scheme. So I know that they're trying to use the government levy in regards to introducing more apprenticeships, and hopefully that would attract as well. But also, ensuring that the pay and the working conditions, as well as safe parking spaces. And I can't remember where I saw this, if it was for the UK, Europe, or US, but they were saying about 3% of parking spaces are safe, which is a very
3%.
Yeah, and we'll have to double check that fact, and if it's wrong, I'll drop it in the comments. Let's see. But yeah, 3%, and they're saying that they are, susceptible to theft and immigrants trying to get in the back and stuff. So I know that it does come with its risks, but it can be a rewarding career as well.
That's a huge thing. So like you say, you touched on a couple of points there. So like the cost bit, as you mentioned, super expensive. I know in the US, there was a group of senators who introduced a legislation to reduce barriers for women. It's called Promoting Women in Trucking Workforce Act. And that's to increase outreach, mentorship and training programs. But like you say, it's not only women, there's a lot of younger people as well. And I know in the UK, though I know a lot of people are concerned about some of the changes, they are dropping some of the parts of the testing and stuff and how you can apply for a license, but they're just trying to make the access easier. But the bit you touched on is so important, especially what we're seeing now. Unfortunately, that young lady who was killed in London, this is sort of thing is happening too often. And when you see and stuff like that, if you don't feel safe as a female driver, knowing, hey, I have to sleep in my truck overnight, sometimes it's in a lay-by. It's not even in like a proper parking area. That's not ideal. I think another lady was saying, and she said, look, and rightly so, because it was such a male-dominated industry, a lot of the services you go to, they're just not set up for women. So that can be quite off-putting as well. And she said, but it's coming along, as she admitted, we're slowly getting there, but we do need to put pressure on companies as well, because I think you have to pay to stay at some of the stops, I believe, and a lot of companies don't want to pay for it. Yeah, so but whether I think it's free in mainland Europe. So then again, that's an issue where people are being tight about it. You go and sleep in the back of your truck with not a proper toilet or shower, like it's not ideal, and you do wonder why people don't get into it. So they definitely need to look at more of that, incentives, and that was a key thing they actually mentioned as well, which is exactly why we do what we do with this channel. Is they said there is a lack of female role models to women and girls. They don't see those female drivers to say, yes, this is an option for you too. So that's important, which is why again we thought this was important to talk about this topic.
Yeah, it's true, because I feel like the only woman driver that I've seen in a big lorry was when I was at Royal Mail. And that was, I think it was maybe a little, it wasn't a 7.5 ton truck. I'm pretty sure it was a bit bigger, but you don't really, it's rare to see women. Do you know what I mean? Even just
very rare
along the motorway, you don't really see many women. But
very
I think if they like, because I was thinking about it like whilst we're doing this and just thinking, if I did like driving, is it something that I could do? But I'm not sure. And I think if there was better facilities, maybe I would, if it was safe and secure, like you said, and you don't have to stop in a lay-by where that is just totally probably not safe. Like, you know what I mean? I would definitely, I don't know if I would personally do it, but I'd be more open if I knew the facilities and everything was there, because as well, being a woman, that time of the month and all the rest of it, you need to have access, especially if you're on longer journeys.
Exactly.
Be able to go toilet regular.
100%.
And this is the thing, is these little things that men don't necessarily have to think about or worry about. And then if you're speaking about women, these are definitely the types of things that need to be taken into consideration.
Definitely. And the thing is, it's going to be key, right? Because you have to fill those roles, because you doing that, I'm pretty sure a lot of drivers now feel completely overworked and whatever else, because there's not enough of you. So it's really important to drive these. I know they're starting to go into schools as well to try and target people. Like you're saying about role models, I remember I used to love Ice Road Truckers. I used to watch it all the time, and there was a driver called Lisa, and she used to drive, and then she used to always always say stuff to her and make little digs and whatever else. But she just, she kept going through, and it obviously can't be ideal. I used to think about being a driver years ago when I was younger. I think I would have done it years ago.
You like driving though, don't you?
I love driving. Yeah. I think I could do it for a short time. Like if someone said to me, oh yeah, they're looking for drivers between November and December. You can earn X amount of money. Like, would you do it for that stint? Yeah, if my job allowed it, or it was weekend stuff, yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Bit extra cash, why not? Bank
Yeah.
that, put that, invest that to the side. Yeah, 100%. But it isn't for everybody, and not everybody likes some people like interaction. You would be on your own a lot of the time, so sitting down. So that's another issue with the industry. You do have a lot of it's not a very healthy job. So I think it's important to find ways that in those facilities they've got the services, they've got facilities for them to go and work out or eat healthier food. So there definitely needs to be some work there.
Absolutely. And I think that's a key point. It's just making it a bit more lucrative, like not just money, but like, so you can live your normal life as well. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, okay, cool. On my break, I can stop. I can go and, bang gym for 30 minutes or whatever, because it's just stop there. Can you imagine that though? Going to a service station and there was just a gym there. Like,
that'd be sick. Yeah, I've got my break because they've got scheduled breaks and they're only allowed to drive certain times. So at least I've got at least this amount of time where I'm not allowed to drive, so I can do this, or I can study, I can do my reading, or that sort of stuff, which is good. And we do need to protect drivers to make sure they aren't on the road for too long. And I can imagine it can be quite difficult. But I think you mentioned some of the stats, like 1% versus the US 6.7%. I was having a look at some stats, and in 2007 it was roughly 4% of the industry were women versus 1% in EU. 2018 it was 6.3% US, 2% EU, and their forecast for next year is it to be 8% in the US and 3% in the EU. So we are very much behind the US. It'd be interesting to see those schemes that they're doing, the scholarships, etc., why they've been so successful. And by the sounds of it, some of it's to do with pay, because they're making six figures by the looks of it. But it is obviously very different, the distances they're traveling, stuff, but certainly some benchmarking to do there.
Yeah, them distances in the US is like the UK is probably like the length of a state, isn't it?
Yeah, if that.
But yeah, so that's our video this week on the driver shortages, the need for more women and younger people to get into the industry. And it's a credible industry to get into, so definitely go and research it if it's something that you may be interested in. And obviously there's definitely plenty of jobs going at this moment in time. So that's the end of this week's video. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. I've been your girl Bex.
And I've been Carly. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode, and we will see you next week.
Peace.